So, hello! This video is going to be about why the series Initiation by Matias de Stefano on Gaiam TV is the best material I've ever seen on a given subject. So, I'll start with how I got acquainted with the theme of ancient civilizations and people from stars like aliens and all ancient cultures and knowledge and stuff like that. It just so happened that I heard here and there from people short versions about what happened a long time ago. I heard about Atlantis and read some books that had these vague either explanations or there were channelings that you really couldn't tell where it came from, the information, or there were like bits and pieces from books written a long time ago, or like it was always unfulfilling, sort of. I always was left with questions and not really sure whether the people who provided the information were like really sure themselves or whether they had like really sort of found the answers to the questions themselves. Also, I saw series about pyramids and like the whole series, like six episodes where it questions, and I wanted answers. You know, there were these series about Egypt and pyramids, and like every episode was about like this couldn't have been done by slaves, and I'm like, yeah, I got it. Like, now give me the real thing, and like I knew there had to be like I knew like some inner knowing was activated, and I was like, okay, I cannot really access the information myself, but I kind of know there has to be something. Just has to be. And there has to be an answer, please. And so years went by, and I was still interested in this subject, but then it got all really weird, and like these conspiracies, and like about why is evil, and I totally couldn't grasp that idea because my inner knowing was about the whole, like unity. Some have mentioned the Law of One. I haven't read that book, but it's kind of, I've heard it portrays like all of us being one. And that's what I resonate with. Like, we are all together in this human family on one planet and we live together. That's it. And I cannot grasp why people cannot grasp that thing. That we're one, you know? But, well, world happens, you know? And then there was this time when I had this idea long before Gaia appeared, Gaiam TV. I had this idea, oh wow, it would be so cool if there was this great TV show about all these interesting things and inspiring and positive and uplifting. I guess that was the collective unconscious traveling through my mind too, and I was like, oh man, that would be so good, yeah. I unconsciously voted for that. And years later, Gaiam TV came into form, and when I finally found out about it, I was like, oh my god, like years ago, I was like, yeah, that would be such a cool thing, or something, I think I just discovered YouTube back then or something. So it was still a long way to go. But like, step by step, everything happened. And now, like, I watched some series from Gaiam TV, and it's totally in my field of interests. But now I was like I really wanted, those end questions, those really nitty gritty questions. I wanted those answers to those nitty gritty questions. I wanted those questions to be answered finally. I was like, where is it? Please, I want to know what's going on. Why? Please make it like understandable in one line so that it's clear and it's like, here you go on a plate. And lo and behold, I'm enjoying watching my YouTube stuff, and an ad comes up from Gaiam TV, and Matias de Stefano is speaking about his series Initiation, where he will tell everything about the ancient civilizations, how they came about, and about dimensions. I'm like, yeah, that's something I need to see. So after some time that I had been disconnected from watching Gaiam TV, I resubscribed again, especially for this series. And well, the first season, it was the mathematical hard part of these dimensions and structures that gave me really hard time before to understand, but now, like, going through experiences, I kind of can relate more, because now when he is showing how we go through this process, I have already experienced going through the process, so now I more or less know what he's talking about. Because before it was like geometry is supposed to help me evolve. What? Like, I just couldn't relate, but now I can see the symbolism because I went through that process. So when I have gone through that in this miniature way in my own life, I can relate to it. I can see, like, oh yeah, well, now I see what you're portraying because I experienced it. I experienced the dark night of soul. I experienced like spiritual stuff and going through healings and purgings and aligning and learning, like, not only about human chakras but the earth chakras and stuff. And I was like also overwhelmed with like these different information channels and versions of things, and I was like, oh, can there be something one? But I went through I think what he's telling about, so I could relate more, and I'm really, really, really glad to watch those series and to hear about his perspective, or more like his memories. And that's kind of the most important authenticity thing, is that it is not a channeling from someone else. I've been to channelings and it's like really fun, but at the end of the day, like, you don't really know. Like, you have to decide on the information, because afterwards, when you ask a channeler, like, they would like forget themselves because they were in trance and they were channeling. But here, he actually like recalls it. It's his memory, and I'm like totally cool with that, because like I just am. But it's like, it's his own information, so I'm like, okay, Like, you know what you're talking about. It's your memory of how you lived there, and you know, uh, it's all about just telling it and portraying it, and the story brings a lot of dots together, a lot of dots that had to be connected. I just don't want to do a lot of spoilers. But the information is profound, structured, explained, and very like precise and specific. I love that. I just love that. And it just answers all the mind-boggling questions I've had while like listening to bits and pieces of information about what happened, and like all the questions and not knowing. I was like, well, man, I want to know. I want to know. Tell me when you know. And he knows. And he told me. So he's awesome. I'm just so glad that I watched it, and I'm still watching season 2, and I might rewatch it. It's so good. So I really suggest for anybody who is interested in having the full scope, hearing the story from someone who actually remembers his lifetimes in previous lives in this planet and in other planets, and who actually can explain the constructs and like what it means, because just because he has lived through it and he remembers it still, like, go, it's worth it. You will see when you just see the ad or intro, you will know. You know, whoever is, you know, looking for that information. So thank you, Gaiam. Really great.